Ms. Jean or Jeannie Connick. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this probably.
I will correct you on that.
Janae, I'm sorry. Well, Ms. Lynn just told me Janae.
Yes,
Well-
Janae Connick, just like it's spelled. I'm sorry, we should have changed one of my French names. I've lived all over the world. I'm an Air Force brat. I was married to a.
Ms. Connick, can I have you give us your address first?
Oh, 2485 Flowering, Dogwood Drive, 32828. My children are out of school now. I used to be a substitute teacher for Timber Creek High School. Love the school. Teaching as a profession, I'm here to support them. It broke my heart to hear some of the stories these teachers told. My children went to DOD schools. I wish we would go to DOD schools. It would cost a lot less for books, et cetera, and you could pay teachers. Our teachers are not only responsible for teaching our children, they're our children's mentors. They spend more time with our children than we do. I have never worked since my children were born. They were born overseas, I was also. I've been afforded a life many people would like, and so have my children. I try to get as much as I can. I volunteer quite a bit. And to me, that's my reward. As a substitute teacher, I loved it until that Tube Friday rule came into play with Kelly. I'm going back to help with school because I'm bored. My kids are fixing to graduate. I know in other countries, teachers make a lot of money. Children go to school many more hours. I went to Canadian school, for 12 hours. You take religion, art, everything. I feel the money can be found. The health insurance you provide for teachers, the company my husband works with, they went to an insurance company, they were self-insured. I feel the board could probably, with the union, could get an insurance company to write a policy that they could afford. Being homeless for a teacher is wrong, so wrong on any scale for anyone. As far as the budget process that was put up on there, Ms. Gordon, on March, April, and May, from what I understand, that is time for finals, graduation. There's too much pressure, not only on the teacher, but on the student to further go along. I'm disappointed in the way my children were educated as well. The budgets weren't so bad. But to see what I see now, the board needs to find a way. I don't know where or how, but you need to find a way to support these teachers.
Thank you, Ms. Connick.
Oh, one more, last thing.
5 seconds.
Real quick, not even 5 minutes. You talked about getting parents involved at school to help students. That's not going to happen until they support their own child at home.
All right, we've now got Mr. Jim Callahan. Mr. Callahan, welcome.
Chairman Sublette. Yes, my name is Jim Callahan. I live at 204 East South Street, Orlando, Florida. I'm not a teacher. I have worked in budgets, including in the city of Orlando. Recently, I was involved in the property appraiser campaign, so I was familiar with property taxes. And I've been looking over some of the budget documents. The fiscal cliff is very dramatic, but the reality of the school board budget is most of the money comes from the property taxes. It's just sort of an odd paradox that in terms of the overall budget, the federal funding is not very much, but in terms of the individual programs, if they like about the school lunch program, we're gonna have a lot higher group of kids. And with the way they've been behaving in Washington about the agriculture bill, where they used to pair the agriculture bill with the food stamps and school lunches, is a bit disturbing. But even so, and I appreciate Member Flynn who brought up that if federal funds are cut, other things might be pushed into the budget. Being once there, again, we're only talking a few $1 million out of a $1.2 billion budget. Again, it impacts those programs severely, but in terms of the overall budget picture, in terms of what we're worried about for these raises, it's not that much. Well, some costs are going up with all the new schools you've been building. I can't imagine that the new schools are less energy efficient than the old schools they replaced. I mean, I assume your Committee on Value Engineering did their job and made sure the schools were energy efficient. So there should be some savings there. I understand there's been some savings in terms of the energy efficiency of the school buses. And looking at this fund balance issue, I understand that from the email correspondence that there should be 2 months worth of revenue there. But with $1.2 billion or $1,200 million, I mean, it's easy to divide by 12. That's 100 million, so 2 months should be 200 million. So your fund balance allocation is 400 million, twice that. So it looks like there should be some money available. Yield balance like that.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. Next I have Mr. Rodriguez Hoyer. Okay, yeah. I didn't understand his
Can
card
he
this
yield
morning,
his
but-
time also? He said he's yielding his time.
Okay, well, he doesn't need to yield because you have a card in right after him, but let me tell the lineup as you come up here. After Ms. Moore will be Clinton Salter, Fred Short, Eder Pierre Joseph, and Lisa Marlson. Ms. Moore will.
Diana Moore, 1020 Webster Avenue, representing the Classroom Teachers Association and all 12,750 teachers. We speak about collaboration. I've been emailing, asking questions about the budget. The first night we did this budget hearing, there were 3 people in the room. I asked some questions and I was told I would receive an email. Mr. Head was here as a taxpayer and said, what about everybody else? And so yesterday, I received an email, which is what I passed out in the audience, from Mr. Collins with the numbers that I was asking for. It's very difficult to go into negotiating when there isn't true disclosure, full disclosure, to be collaborative. So what I will read is what I received in terms of the budget. I'll save most of the numbers, but the number that I was looking at was what was budgeted for instruction, and it was $1 billion. But the actual number that was spent was $820 million. So if we budgeted $1 billion and spent $820 million, the question that we have every time we come to the table is, where does that money go? So I go on your website, and your CAFR for 2012 is there, and it says that you had $273 million left after you received your income and paid your bills. And the email I got today saying this year there was $27 million in excess of actual expenditures. So it's a game that I can't seem to follow. So I go to the DOE website and I follow the fund balance. In 2009, the general fund balance was $221 million. 2010, $249 million. There's a pattern here. 2011, $337 million. In 2012, $380 million. And the number I received today for the total fund balance is $413 million. So my question is it a pattern if you continue to have extra money left over that you slide into a savings account to use for reoccurring expenditures. It shouldn't be a shell game. So in terms of collaboration, I would like full disclosure when we ask questions about the budget. So I brought a few people tonight who are also interested in these numbers because they have waited a long time and they do appreciate that there is an offer on the table. But we're trying to look at how we calculated those percentages in comparison to how we calculated those percentages. So maybe we need to talk about that. So I have heard about health issues increasing. The morale is the lowest I have seen in a very long time. In fact, it's difficult because teachers start at $37,000 and they've been there for 5 years as starting teachers. It takes them 10 years to get to $40,000. The way the salary schedule is set up now is a first-year teacher gets a $250 raise to get to the second year. And we wonder why teachers in their first 5 years leave the profession. It used to be those of us who were experienced teachers with a system, we don't have time to help them anymore because we have so much on our plate. And it might even increase. So I will also say that there are a lot of teachers that are paid out of federal grant money. You should look at that too. These numbers are all on your website, and sometimes you get them in an email the day before you come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. Next.